The Senate, the Democrats didn't have the odds on their side, but as the poll suggested, they did well when it came to the House race, and that certainly has been supported by the suburban vote, also the college-educated white women vote. In fact, there's been a record number of women, or it looks like there'll be a record number of women entering the House. 85 women, 74 of which are Democrats. But let's talk further about some of the consequences and also the surprises of this midterm election. With me now is Ahmed Bedier. He's a political analyst joining us here on TRT World. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Now, we're looking at a very much a divided Congress now, both with the Senate and the House. Does that mean that America is even more divided than ever?
Well, obviously, today we saw that because of the polls, that America continues to be divided. But this is really a referendum on Trump. Even the places where they kept the seats, they narrowly beat the Democrats. So this was, in a way, a referendum on Trump's leadership and his party, and doesn't look good for what's to come in 2020. Now in the House, with these members coming in and they're going to have the majority, they can do a lot of things. You can forget about building the wall. You can forget about, overhauling or getting rid of Obamacare. Many of the things that Trump promised that he's going to do, he's not going to be able to accomplish it because this House is going to stop all that. Furthermore, they're going to also investigate him, possibly. They can subpoena records like his taxes, investigate things like conflicts of interest, open up things. So this doesn't spell well for the White House.
Still, despite the fact that the Democrats doing so well as a rebuke to Trump, he did pretty well in the Senate. We've got a good, strong Republican majority. Does that favour him in any way? Well,
the odds were in his favour. Most of the seats that were up for grab were Democrat seats anyway. So the fact that they retained the Senate was already a given. But that's not going to be the same case when it comes to the next election. So they're definitely in trouble, and this has weakened Trump and so many of his allies that were in the House. People like Pete Sessions, he was like an icon in the House and the Republicans. He was defeated in Texas by a Democrat. That's unheard of. So despite the fact that somebody like Beto did not win, but because of his wave and all these new and young voters that came in, they were able to influence and make changes in other House seats that flipped from red to blue.
Trump used immigration as a strong token for his campaign rhetoric. Do you think that if he softened his tone, used perhaps the successes about the economy more in his campaigns, that he might have had a little bit more of a wider margin of votes?
Trump went back to what he does best, the politics of fear, the politics of division, and I think this was a rebuke on that, especially when it comes to the House. The voters rejected it. They care more about their health care, and they're worried about that the Republicans are chipping away at Obamacare, especially when it comes to things like pre-existing conditions. Many of the things that Trump promised that he will do, he did not accomplish them, and people don't like his tone. When it comes to issues like women issues, women came out big against Trump because they don't like the demeanor and the way that things have been going, and they want to hold this White House some sort of accountability. And with Democrats in the House, they can at least hope that there'll be some sort of accountability or some sort of oversight over what the White House is doing.
Okay. Ahmed Bedier, thank you very much for joining us on TRT World. So, Ayhan, as you can hear there, it's going to be an interesting 2 years ahead, some diverse faces in Congress, and certainly some young faces as well, with the youngest ever woman to enter Congress at 29 years old.